Kakadosh Boker or Masechet Metzia of Tzadik Tet Amud Aleph 99a. We're just going to start again on Tzadik Tet Amud Bet, just the Mishnah. The Mishnah says Hashoel et para. If somebody's going to borrow a cow or an ox, right? And then what happens is Shilcha lo biyad beno biyad avdo biyad shlucho. He sent it in the hand of his son, servant, or his messenger, or biyad beno biyad avdo biyad shlucho shel shoel, or in the hands of the son, servant, or messenger of the borrower. Meaning before it was the one that's lending, and now it's the borrower. Umeta, and it dies. Patur, the borrower is going to be patur from all types of ownership, meaning that until it doesn't come to his hand, he's exempt from everything. Continues the Mishnah. What happens though if the shoel, the borrower, tells him, Shalchali, biyad bini biyad avdi biyad shluchi, send it to me in the hand of my son, my servant, or my slave, my messenger, or biyad bincha biyad avdicha biyad shlucha, in the hand of your servant, your son, your messenger. Or the lender comes and tells him, I'm going to send it to you in the hand of my son, my servant, my messenger, or in the hand of your son, your servant, your messenger. Amalo Shoel, and Shoel says, Shalah. Yeah, send it. The Shilcha, he sends it to Meta and it dies. Now he's going to be Chayav. Why? Because since he agreed to the actual sending of it in the hand of whatever it was, doesn't matter who it belongs to, it's his Reshut. The exact same halacha would apply when he returns it, the same thing. Meaning until he doesn't return it to the owner, it still belongs to him. But if he tells the owner or the owner tells him, send it in the hand of my messenger, so then it goes back to the owner. Says the Gemara, Tzadik Tet Amud Aleph on the top, 99a, says the Gemara, Biyad Avdo Hayav. He says, in the hand of his servant, he's going to be Chayav. Yad Eved Ki Yad Rabo. He says one second, how you could tell me that if the lender sent it in the hands of his Eved Kenani, he's going to be Chayav, right? He says it didn't go out of his Reshut, right? Yad Eved. Yes, this is it. This is in the second part where the sender is sending it in the hand of the Eved Kenani, right? And what do we say? We said that since the borrower agreed to it, so therefore he's going to be Chayav. Why is he going to be Chayav? At the end of the day, Yad Eved Ki Yad Rabo, which means it's Keilu that the lender is going himself to take it. So therefore, the Shoel should be Patur for everything, because I understand a messenger or I understand the son, that's one thing. But the Eved is mamash like his master. So if the Eved is like his master, why should it be Chayav? Right? The guy should be Patur. Amar Shmuel says, Be'eved Ivri. We're talking about an Eved Ivri. That, right, the goof is not acquired to the master. So therefore, we don't say the concept yad ki yad rabo, meaning we don't say that the hand of the servant is like the hand of the master. That's only by an eved kenani, not by an eved ivri. And therefore, he's like a regular shaliach. He's like a messenger. Another answer. Rav comes and he answers, afilu tema eved kenani, even if you are going to tell me an eved kenani. It's like he's telling him, right? That basically he's going to hit it with a stick and it's going to come on its own. And therefore, since he went and he told him, hit it on the stick and then come on its own, so therefore that's it. That means even though the hand of the Eved is like the hand of the master, but in this case, it's like telling him that it's coming on its own. So it's coming on its own. Well, hikisha b'makel is that he's hitting it with the stick, and then the animal's going on its own. So therefore, whether he did it in the Reshut Rabim and he left it in the public place, or whether he sent it to him just to watch over it, but at the end of the day, he obligated himself to all the onsi. So therefore, it's keilu now. It's not that the guy is mamash taking in his hand. He's just with a stick, like that, right? And then just dragging it. So therefore, it's going on its own. Okay. So now they're going to ask a question on Rav. They're going to ask the following question. Here there's a Braita. And the Braita says that if a person borrows a para and the mash'il, the lender, sent it in the hand of the son or the shaliach, he's going to be chayav in onsim. But biyad avdo, he's going to be patur. So says the Gemara, Bishama li Shmuel, I understand according to Shmuel, matznitin be'eved ivri, our Mishnah is an eved ivri, and the Braita is an Eved Kenani, and that's why he says it is going to be patur if he sent it in the hand of the Eved, right? But according to Rav, why do you do? Meaning, what's the savara, the logic to differentiate between the son and the shaliach and the Eved? If you're going to tell me like Shmuel, very simple. One is Eved Kenani, Eved Ivri. That's it, you're done. But if you're going to tell me it's like Rav, so what's the pshat? How do you answer that? So Rav is going to answer you, Lo tema, don't tell me na'asa ke'amaleh, that it's ki'ilu that he told him to hit it with the stick and he's coming on his own. Ela ema be'amaleh, that was the case where he actually did that. The amaleh, that it's going to come after me. So therefore, that's what he exactly did. He basically opened up, right? He opened it up, it went out of the house, and then it died. So in such a case, he still says that he's going to be chayav be'onsin. And therefore, even though he's sending it in the hand of his eved, it's not going to be mafki out, or it's not going to take him out from the hitchayvut of the shoel. Okay, the Itmar Bills was stated, Hashilani paratecha. Please, lend me your cow. The Amarlo, and he says, Biad me, who do I send it with? Amarlo, and he tells him, Hakisha b'makel, right? V'tavo, hit it with the stick a little bit, and then it's going to come to me. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Ravu, Amar Rav, says Nachman name Ravu name Rav, Kevin Shiatza Mirshuta Mashil v'Meta, the second that it left the property of the lender and it dies, Hayav, the guy's Hayav. Right? Why? Because it's it. He already accepted upon himself all the force majeure, any onsim, anything that happens. Remember, he's a borrower. So a borrower is chayav in onsim, and any type of onus that happens. So says the Gemara, name him Mesayale, so there's a proof to this. So this right that was the exact same thing, just like what Rav said. The exact same thing. The second that he leaves the property of the lender, the guy's going to be chayav. So says the Gemara, Ravashi says, that's not a proof. You know why? What are we dealing with? The chatzer of the borrower was inside the chatzer of the lender. So the second that he sends him out, it's automatically inside of the reshut of the borrower. That's the case. In such a case, that's the case that he's going to be chayav. But in any normal case, whoever told you? So says the Gemara, if that's the case, so what's the chidush? Obviously. Yeah, obviously. So answers the Gemara, what are we dealing with? The ika gazyata. That you have in the chatzer different corners where he could go and he could hide there. Right? And therefore, right, even in that case, the shuel is going to be chayav still. Why? I would have said, he was not somech dato. Because maybe he's going to stop there and he's not actually going to go to the field of the shoel. Comes to teach you the samcha that he was somech dat 100%, and therefore he's going to be chayav because he already accepted upon himself the onsim, any type of onus. Amar Ravuna says, Hashoel kordom, right? Mechavero. Somebody is going to borrow a type of a hammer, right? That's how it's okay, hatchet. Yeah, something similar. Yeah, kordom, right? Kordom is usually actually more not a hammer. Kordom is usually more to lachpor. It's like to dig. So I don't know how you would say that exactly. What did you say in so he says here, a hatchet. It's a small, short-handled axe having the head opposite the blade in form of a hammer. It's the opposite of a hammer. That's what it was. That's why I always remember. Opposite, right. Made to be used with one hand. It's like a tomahawk. Okay, fine. Okay. So he says, in such a case, so if a person is going to come and he's going to borrow a kordom, if he came and he cut down the wood, right? So kinao, he already acquires it. Lo bikabo, but if he didn't use it at all, right? That means even though he already did meshicha, lo kinao, he didn't acquire it. So exactly when he uses it. So when he uses it, that's when it becomes that he acquires it. Beforehand, no. Remember, acquires it a kavanah for the onsim, for all the different force majeures that happen. So it's because he's borrowing it. So says the Gemara, lemai. What exactly are we dealing with now? Ilema leonsin, if it's to do with honest, maishna para, what's the difference between the cow? To mishat she'ela, right? That it's already from the time of the she'ela. Meaning you borrow the cow, you don't need to use the cow. The second you borrowed it, kaddish. You're chayav. Why over here do you have to use it? Ela lachazara. But rather we're talking about that he wants to be chozerbo. And he wants to retract from the loan. Right? He lent him the thing and he wants to retract. Pikabo, the second that he already uses it, lo matzia mashil, he cannot come and he cannot retract. Why? Because once he's zochen it, so therefore it's until the end of the process of the borrowing it. So if I borrowed it for a week and I come and I used it, come on, that's it. I have it for the week. I'm obligated. So even though I don't want it anymore, no, you have it for the week. And therefore something happens during the week, it's mine. But if he didn't use it, he could retract. Upliga misargues on Ravami. The Rabbi Yami Damar, why the Rabbi Yami says, Hamashim Kodom Shelekdesh. If you're going to come and you're going to borrow, you're going to lend how did you call it? A hatchet of Hekdesh by accident. I mean, you didn't know it was Hekdesh, and if you lent it to your friend. Ma'al, there's Mila. Remember, Mila means you're benefiting from coaching. If you Tovat Anashabo, according to Tovat Anashabo, right? But the friend, which is the borrower, he's allowed to do it because it's already chulin, which means that the borrower is nehene from chulin and not from Hekdesh. Now, says the Gemara, 1 second. If the borrower never acquired it, right? So then, amay malu. Why was there Mila then? Mila means that you benefited from coaching. If the guy never actually acquired it yet, even if he did Meshicha, but he didn't actually use it, he didn't do anything yet. So therefore,
really just
yeah, but the same thing. The fact that it doesn't actually belong to the other guy yet, meaning that there's nothing yet here, why does he do Mila? Mila is only if Be'emet actually lent it to him. So why is it permitted then for the friend to do it lechatchila, to start knocking down the wood, right? Chopping the tree. So nihadre, just give it back. Give it back. There's no kinyan, there's no mila. If you're going to tell, so then there's nothing yet. You already lent it to him, but there's nothing yet. Give it back. The second he gives it back, that's it. There's nothing left. And it's arguing with Lazar. Rabbi Lazar says, just like they instituted kinyan meshicha. When you purchase something, so too they made the exact same meshicha by shomrim as well. And the second that you did meshicha, you already became a shomer. The Tanya Miyachim also learned this right in the Braita. The same thing. The second, that's it. There's meshicha. The second you do meshicha, that's it. You become a shomer. Uchshem tzadik tet amud 99b. Shekarka nikne bekesef. Just like karka is going to be acquired with 3 different ways: the kesef, shtar, v'chazaka, with money, with a document, and with chazaka. Kach schirut nikna. So when you rent something, the same thing. Kesef, shtar, v'chazaka. You acquire with the money, a document, or with a chazaka. So says the Gemara, right? So 1 second. The Gemara is understanding that the Braita and the Sefer is telling us that even schirut metaltalim, which means even like a be'ema or kelim or all these things, you have kesef, shtar, and chazaka. So says the Gemara, schirut me'avite. He says, what is exactly, how are you going to come and acquire it? Right? He says, until he doesn't do the meshicha, schirut is not koneh. So Amar Rav Chasta says, Rav Chasta, you're right. We're talking about schirut of karka. Meaning schirut of karka is in these 3 ways. Just like the gufa shel karka is going to be with these 3 ways, so too the schirut of karka. But the schirut of a keli or a be'ema, it has to be with meshicha. Okay? Okay. So one more time. Land, kesef, shtar, chazaka. Renting of a land, the same thing. Kesef, shtar, chazaka. Money, document, and a chazaka. But to do with the schirut of an animal, which is movable objects, metaltali, or right, a keli, a utensil, that's going to be with meshicha. Next, Shemuel. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel comes and he says, Haiman de gazil chavitza de tamne. If somebody's going to steal an igul of tmarim from his friend, so he's got like a type of a cake, like a round thing of dates from his friend. Vidba 50 tamer, it's got 50 dates. Agav adadem is dabnan b50 nachichada. Altogether, it's going to be sold for 49 prutot. Vechada, but if you sell them separately, you're going to be sold for 50. That's what many times happens. No, that means basically if you're buying it individually, it costs more than if you're buying it in a bundle, right? So here it's not a very big difference. You've got 50 dates. If you sell it separately, it's 50. Let's just pretend pennies, just to make it easier. 50 prutot. Okay. No, is that it becomes cheaper when it's going to be in a bundle. Here it's not a big difference. Think about it. 50 dates, 50 cents. 50 cents, like 1 cent each, or let's say pretend $50, say $1 each. But if you're doing all together, right, it's 49. So you saved one on 49. You usually do that after a few, not after 50. Understand? But okay, so that's what it was. So what happened? Lehediot v'shalem 50 lechechada. He says if it's going to be an hediot, he has to pay 49. Legdesh v'shalem 50. You have to pay 50 v'chumshayhu. You have to add a 5th also as well. Right? Mashe'en ken b'mazik. right? Here it's Hamuel Be'Ekdesh V'Shogeg. But you have to pay the Keren V'Chomesh. You have to pay the Keren and Chomesh. You have to pay the principal plus the fifth, the 20% extra. Mashenkem Mazik, but not by a Mazik. Meaning, if somebody's going to come and he's going to damage property of Ekdesh, he doesn't pay Chomesh. Yeah, he only pays the Keren, the principal, but not the Chomesh. The Amar more and more says, Ish Kyochal Kodesh. Only when a person comes and he eats from the Kodesh does he have to add a fifth. We just read that in this week's parasha. Prat Mazik that comes to exclude a Mazik. Okay? Matkif la Rav Bevai Barabai. So Rav Bevai Barabai comes and he asks, Le'ediot, amay meshalem 50 nechachada. Why to a regular person you only need to pay 49? Namely, you should say, Ana chada chada. I'm selling it one by one. So Amar Rav Huna B'Rav Yeshua, Shamin Metzia be'ota sadeh tanan. He says, well, we found to do with Tashumina ve'ediot, right? Something very, very simple. How is it, right? How much was it worth? Sorry, thank you. How much was it worth at the beginning and how much is it worth now? Which means an animal that goes into a field of somebody else and he eats, we're not going to tell him to pay the value of the furrow, right, according to by itself, right? But rather, we're going to say how much was worth beforehand and before he ate the furrow and how much is worth now. And that's what he's going to have to pay. So it comes out that for sure that a person is going to purchase a Metzia, you're only going to take down just that ugav, that little tiny thing that it. So you're not. So the Torah was in the kelim mazik, meaning he didn't come and tell, listen, if it's going to be a furrow by itself, you would have paid $1,000. But behemet, when you're coming, you're buying the entire house, and now you're missing a little furrow. Or is it really going to be $1,000 you're going to deduct? You'll probably deduct 500, whatever. You understand? Like, so that's what we're doing. So the same thing. When you're talking about the te'ena of the hediot, the exact same thing. Lemeimra de savar Shmuel din hediot lav kedin gavoa. Are you going to tell me that Shmuel holds that the din of a hediot of a regular person is not like the gavoa? Dami. But now we learned in the Mishnah. Natal even okura megdesh. If a person comes and he took, right, a stone or a beam from Megdesh, lo ma'al, he's not mu'el Megdesh. That means even though it was in his reshut and everything, it's not considered that he took it out of Megdesh. But natana lechavro, but if he gave it to his friend, now he's ma'al. And the friend is not. Just like the previous case. The friend is not ma'al, but it already came chuli. But he did the me'ilah. Bina'ah betoch beto, if the guy comes, even if he went and he built it in his house, yeah, that means he didn't make it, he just put it on top of the house. Lo ma'al, there's no ma'al, al she'adur tachtea b'shaveh pruta. Until he lives there, right, the value of a shaveh pruta. Yativ Rabbi Yoshi, Yakamed Rabbi Yochanan, Yativ Rabbi Yavhu, in front of Rabbi Yochanan, Yativ come and he said in the name of Shmuel, so Tomeret, it comes out, Hadar b'chatzer chavero shelo midato, tzarich lalo lo srat. If you come and you're going to live in the field, in the property of your friend, you have to pay him. Why? Because in our case, we just said that you're not chayav, even though you put it on your roof, until you live there, chetzi pruta. So it's much, but you have to pay. You have to do something there, right? Meaning that if I don't have to pay, if I'm going to stay in your house, so therefore, why is there milah yet? I didn't do any milah. But the fact that I would have to pay you, so that shows that I already benefit. So since I benefited, that's why there's going to be a problem of milah. So I just stole from Ekdesh. So Hadar Shmuel Mehi, you're right. Shmuel retracted from that which he compared Ekdesh to the Chatzer Chavero Shelo Midato. And according to the Maskana, he also holds that there's no ra'ayah, there's no proof from Milah Bekdesh that he has to actually pay, right, for staying in another person's house. So says the Gemara, how do you know that he retracted from there? Maybe Dilma Meha Hadar, maybe he retracted from the other one, which means at the end of the day, there's two different cases. There's somebody stealing from the dates, okay? And there we said that there's no difference between what you pay for the Ekdesh or what you pay for the normal person. And both of them, you only have to pay 49 prutot. And the case of the stealing of a beam and then putting in your house, and you have to stay in the person's house, you have to pay him rent or not. So how do you know which one he retracted from? So it says, for sure he went and he retracted from the one of living in the person's house and he has to give him the money or not. Like Rava. The Amar Rava says, Hekdesh shelo midat ke'ediot midam dami. Meaning, when a person comes and he does Hekdesh shelo midat, meaning without the dat of Hekdesh, it's like Hediot with the dat. Meaning, it's like you're benefiting from the Hediot when he knows about it. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows everything. So since he knows everything, even though Ki'ilu it's the Hekdesh doesn't know, Hashem does know. So it's always considered that it's known, but not to do with like a human being. So if you're going to come and you're going to live in the field of your friend or the property of your friend, and the guy knows about it and he didn't say anything, you're patur of paying it. But still, if in Hekdesh, you're going to be chayav to pay. in such a case. Why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu always knows everything. Okay? Okay, next. Amar Rava. Rava says, Hani shakulai. The tavru chavita de chamra lechemva. They were sabbalim. Remember, a sabbal is somebody that carries a lot of burdens. So he comes and they went with negligence. They went and they broke a barrel of wine. So they have to pay the barrel of wine to the storekeeper. Okay, if it's Yom HaShuk, it's worth 5 zuz, the barrel of wine. The Shad Yom, but if it's not a Yom HaShuk, it's going to be worth 4 zuz per barrel of wine. But if they came and they wanted to give it back on the day of the shuk, he has to give it back, right? Chavit, another chavit, and therefore, right, he's going to sell it to Yom HaShuk with 5. That means all they have to do is you just give him a barrel of wine, and then he comes and he sells it. But if they're going to give him on another day, he has to give him 5 zuz, and it's not enough just giving him a barrel of wine. Why? Because the chenvari told them, right, if it was in my hand, it would have been worth 5 zuz. Because I could have sold it at 5 zuz. So now you're giving it to me at not exactly. Now you're not giving me a day of market. What does that help me? At the end of the day, it's worth 5 zuz. Says the Gemara, one of these words, only if he didn't have wine to sell. Because if it would have broken, so then he would have sold it. But if he did have wine to sell anyway, even without that, and he didn't sell it, he should have sold it. Meaning, the fact that he didn't sell all the wine that he had, so they could tell him, listen, what do you mean? We're not sure you're going to sell it. So therefore, whoever said it's worth 5, maybe it's worth 4, so we can give you 4, right? Because you're right. If you didn't have anything else to sell, you could have said, look, if I had it, I would have sold it. I would have sold it for 5. But you had, and you didn't sell. So therefore, now, even in that case where the Sabalim are obligated to pay 5, they take away the Dmet Tircha, right, of selling it, Kipwel Batel. What does that mean? That means they're going to see how much would the Chevmadi would have made it cheaper, so he just takes a day off, that he didn't need to work. Udumei Barzaniata. And also, when we had to pay the Uman to make the nekev, to make like the spout, right, in the barrel, because that obviously, he has to come, right, and they saved it from him, okay? So therefore, obviously, they have to take that. Also, they have to take that down, because at the end of the day, anything that they're doing, they have to actually deduct from the price. So they're deducting from the price at which the guy would have just said, you know what, I don't have to work today, so instead of giving me 5, give me 4.5 or 4, whatever it is, and today I'm not going to work, and then they would actually deduct it from that which they learned.